and welcome. Welcome to Share Yoga. This is an express class, so it's just 30 minutes. So we're going to start seated. Now, the only thing with your chair is that you just want to make sure that it doesn't feel like it's going to wobble or move away, as long as you've got a sturdy chair. If you have rollers on the bottom of your chair, just make sure to lock the wheels so they won't, you won't accidentally lose your place. So sit in such a way that it feels like your spine kind of holds itself up just gently above the pelvis. So for me, that means sitting a little bit forward on the chair. Depends on the style of chair you've got. And then just rest your palms in a comfortable way. You can put one hand inside the other, or rest the hands on the legs, either palm up or palm down. Just choose something that feels restful to you. We'll close our eyes, or you can, if you get sleepy when you close your eyes, you can leave them open just a little tiny bit and let them softly rest on the floor in front of you. And then notice your breathing. So we're going to try to just breathe really deep and smooth and rhythmic, and this will be our pattern for the whole kind of time we're here together. Deep, smooth, rhythmic breathing. We'll do about 3 more of those nice deep breaths, just kind of settling into place this morning. So, there might be some disruption from my furry coworkers, but the light behind me is a little bit bright, so I'm hoping that you can see me okay. We're going to drop our chin and let the back of the neck kind of stretch just a little bit. Just kind of feel that. Don't let your, try not to let your spine round. And then we're going to see what happens if we kind of roll the head up and over to one shoulder. And there's a little kind of 2 muscle area we're going to rock back and forth in. So we're going to rock back until we feel a little stretch through this muscle in the front, and forward until we feel a little stretch through this muscle that comes up the back of the neck. And we're going to hold, like, so my head is over to my left, so I'm going to let my right arm dangle as I do this, just to create a little bit more length. And let the shoulder blade and the collarbone kind of pull a little bit to the right. Now if that feels too spicy, you can just put your arm right back onto your lap. And one more time, I'm going to roll it back and forward. And then I'm going to put my arm back and then keep going back to the center. Notice if your neck feels a little different on the right side versus the left. Roll the head over towards the left shoulder. Now again, you can leave a little bit more space if it feels crunchy under here. So we're just going to let the head roll back and forth and start with just feeling those 2 muscles and all the muscles in between for that matter. And then as long as it's not too spicy, we're going to take that arm and reach it on out there. Let the collarbone and shoulder blade kind of drop out to the left. And every now and then I just check to make sure I'm not letting my posture change on this in the center part of my torso. Often the body kind of goes wherever the head leads, so sometimes I have to check. So just roll back, kind of feel that stretch, roll forward, feel the stretch up the back. I'm going to do that about 3 more times. Just rolling over that shoulder with my head, noticing the stretch on the left side. Now sometimes, especially if our neck got kind of stiff a little bit while we were sleeping, this can create a situation where you feel like you have to yawn or you kind of hyper-salivate. It's not unusual. It's just a byproduct of the nerves. Now, I'm going to put my hand back where it came from, and then I'm going to let my head roll all the way back to the middle. Notice the 2 shoulders as I lift my head back to a neutral position. Oh. And they feel a little bit more even than they did the last time I checked in. So we're going to do some shoulder circles. We're going to bring the shoulders up, push them back towards the back, bring them down and sweep them forward. Just do the biggest range of motion you can with your shoulder blades. The arm bones and the collarbones will go along for the ride. So one more time in that direction. When we get to the point where we're kind of as far forward as possible, we're going to roll them back the other way. Then bring them up, sweep them back, and bring them up. One more time. Okay, letting the arms dangle. I'm going to pick the shoulders up and then just let them drop. Oh, feels good. Pick them up, let them drop. And then one more time, just pick them up as high as you can and let them fall. All right. So let's do some little, we're going to just keep moving down. Let's do some things for the torso. We're going to round the back and then kind of tilt the pelvis forward, push the breastbone up and forward. So it sort of makes a cobra shape across the front, and then like a Halloween cat shape in the back. Ooh. I don't know why I couldn't come up with the word Halloween. I've only been thinking about it every single day. Push it forward and pull it back. Okay, so when we get from that rounded position, we're going to sit up nice and tall, and we're going to do a little, I call it the washing machine. It's sort of like an agitator in the washing machine. One day if we all have front-loading washing machines, I'll have to come up with a different metaphor. Back and forth. And just kind of notice if there's any places in your back that feel a little tight or resistant to movement. Okay, we're going to take the legs out a little wide, and then we're going to side bend, and some people refer to this little movement pattern as the blown palm. I guess our arms apparently look like little palm fronds. We blow from one side to the other. Oh, I think it's enchanting, so I keep it. You can decide how you feel about it. Oh. Back and forth 2 more times. All right, so then we're going to come back and we'll do a little bit of work for our wrists. So take the little circles with the wrist to start with. Go the other direction with the circles. And then we're going to lace the fingers together and just do a rhythmic pattern with the wrist. I just do kind of an up and down, as rhythmic and smooth as possible. And just to challenge myself, I try to do the opposite direction. See if it's exactly the same. So this can go, like you can do it really facing any direction. Up and down seems to work better for me. It makes more sense to my brain. So we're going to put the hand out like stop in the name of love. I'm spreading my fingers apart. I'm going to grab right there below the finger, right on this part of the hand, and just give my hand a stretch backwards, trying to stretch this bottom part of my hand. For me, having this arm a little straighter helps. And then I'm going to take my thumb and just reach it back behind me towards the back a little bit. Okay, drop the hand the other way. Now, I'm going to try to stretch this front top part of my arm by kind of pulling my hand a little bit around the back. It feels best to me if I bend my elbow a little bit. I get a little bit more sensation of that opening. And again, I'm going to try to stretch my thumb out and back. Thumbs take a beating in our world these days because of texting and other things. So if you feel like your thumb is kind of becoming arthritic, it might be. There's one other potential possibility, and that's a muscle that goes through the forearm right in here. And so you can also kind of play with, like, move your thumb around and put your hand on your arm and feel for the little places where that muscle moves. So for me, it goes in a little diagonal pathway right here. And then if you massage that area, like, periodically throughout the day, sometimes it can help relieve a little bit of tension. And I do some friction massage while simultaneously kind of stretching my thumb backwards. The issue is that the thumb moves forward and kind of stays in that position, sort of like when our shoulders slump forward. So getting the thumb to move backwards is helpful. And I find this helps. It relieves a little bit of the pressure out of my thumb. I don't have as much soreness if I've spent a lot of time texting. I don't do that much texting, but sometimes. Okay, so we're gonna do one more movement for our hands. So we're gonna stretch the fingers out really wide and curl them in really tight, stretch them out really wide, and this just continues this kind of movement, but letting all the fingers stretch out. And so for me, the easiest fingers to stretch are like the thumb and index finger. So while I'm doing this, I'm kind of concentrating a little bit more on the last three fingers reaching out. Curl them in one more time, stretch them out one more time, and then we're just gonna give the fingers a little kind of rhythmic movement, like almost like playing piano. And then shake out the hands so that the bones kind of feel like they're rattling. All right. So we've done everything pretty much from the head down to the waist. So we're gonna do a little bit of work for the legs. So I slide a little bit forward on my chair. We're gonna take one leg, doesn't matter which one, just pick a leg. And if you can do it, you're gonna hold it in your hand. So if this is ridiculous, then you can leave the leg down on the floor and just kind of wobble it back and forth. When you hold your leg in this position, you wanna make sure that you aim your toes the same direction that your knee is pointing, so that the shin doesn't get twisted, which can cause some trouble for the knee, and especially the ligaments on either side. So just keep your foot flexed and the toes pointing the same way as the knee, and then we'll just let the femur bone rotate as much as it's willing. And then rock the leg back and forth. So some people can get their leg way up high near their chest, and then it resembles more what it's called, which is rock the baby. Most of us probably don't rock our baby that low. All right, so then if you can do it, you're gonna cross the shin over the top of the thigh on the opposite leg. If that doesn't work out, cross it over the shin. So shin over shin, or shin on top of thigh. Keeping the foot flexed and these two bones aligned, so the toes again point in the same direction as the knee. We're gonna sit up really tall. And for some of us, there's already a stretch in this outer hip. We don't need to do anything more. If there isn't a sensation there, tilt the pelvis forward until you do, or until you just start to feel it somewhere down the chain. This is deep tissue. We don't always get a lot of sensation here. Feels nice to stretch it though. And then again, remember, always come back to this deep, rhythmic, smooth breath. Sometimes, especially if we get into a stretch that feels a little intense, we can start holding the breath. So just keep the breath smooth and rhythmic. Now we're gonna take this leg all the way off. I'm gonna hold on to my big toe, but you can also hold on to the thigh, okay? And then we're gonna see if we can stretch that leg all the way out straight. You might feel the stretch in the back of the thigh. You need to let go, let go. Sometimes you don't need to hold your big toe. Oh. And then I'm going to bend that knee, and this leg is going to go straight out to the side. I'm going to turn a little bit sideways, so this leg is going to go over the edge of the chair. Now, turn your foot so that it feels the best aligned up for your hip. It might need to be a little in more, it might need to be a little out more. I like mine kind of just a little bit diagonal. I don't want my toes to point that way too far because I tend to collapse inward. So if I turn it just a little bit on the diagonal, it gives me better footing. Okay, so sitting in this kind of warrior two position, we're gonna move back and forth through a couple of different positions. So I'm gonna turn my torso so it best matches my hip, and then come back to reverse, and then over to a side angle shape. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and forth like that, and then we'll hold the side angle in a moment. So feel how you can stretch out the front of your hip right there. And then this is a little bit more for the spine. And then out. So we're going to pause right there with this side angle pose. Push your feet into the floor and give yourself just a little bit of an anchor to kind of stretch open the front of the hip, front of the side waist here. I'm resting my elbow on my thigh, but try not to lean into it too heavy. Use the core to help support yourself. One more breath. Oh, it feels nice. We're going to come back up. This leg is going to come around. I'm going to bring it back where it came from, and then I'm going to come back to the center, give everything a little bit of a shimmy. And then I like to compare side to side before I do the next side. So feeling the left side of my body, left hip, left leg, everything that I did on the left side. If it feels sore or tender, I want to do it a little differently next time. If it feels pretty good, then I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side and see if it works out for that side as well. So again, we're going to grab hold. I'm going to turn my foot so that the toes align with the knee, flex at the foot ankle joint so that I've got a good sturdy package there, and then rock the baby. So I'm moving from my femur bone back and forth. Okay, and then we're going to take it across, sit up nice and tall, and again, you just want to figure it out. If I sit up tall, is that enough stretch here in my hip? Does it feel okay to lean forward? Should I go forward? Again, lining up this bone, toes and knee aligned with each other, foot flex to help protect the knee. There shouldn't be any discomfort at all, even a mild discomfort in the little inner corner on either side. Corner of the knee. Kind of round knee corners. In my brain it does. We're going to take a couple more breaths. So again, I'm going to take this guy, grab my big toe. You can grab the back of your thigh instead, if that's going to work out better. We're going to see if we can get that leg to go all the way straight out into a little hamstring stretch. Be mindful, if it feels really sharp right at your sit bone, that's too much. Let go and hold lower. Last big breath. All right, so I'm going to let this guy go. He's going out to the side. This side I'm turning so I can do the side angle to just get myself angled on my chair appropriately. Okay, so then I find the right angle so my foot feels like it can stay steady, and then turn my torso so it matches my hip. Come on back to reverse and over to side angle and give it, a nice big stretch. Inhale. Exhale, pick a side. You can do it either way. Just pick the one that makes the most sense to you. One more time, come into the back. And then we're going to come over to the side angle and stay put. And so I use my elbow a little bit for leverage, so I can kind of roll one way or the other. It also gives me something to sort of, I'm pushing my feet down, so it gives me something to push off of. Create a little more length. You can put your hand down on, closer to the floor. Sometimes I put my block underneath my hand so I can kind of push off of the floor. But with the chair, it works best, for me anyway, to use my thigh. For you, it might be different. Last big breath. All right, we're going to come on back. We're going to bring this leg around the front. Come around to meet it. Give both legs a little shimmy, and we're getting one more pose here, which is a wide angle forward bend. So we're going to leave the legs out wide. I'm going to scoot back just a little bit. Now, sometimes with forward bending, the pelvis only goes so far. So you want to find the point where your pelvis kind of stops. Right? So mine stops right about there. That's where my sit bones start to lift off the chair, okay? So that's about as far as I can go with my pelvis. So anything else I do is going to be my back, right? So if you have a sensitive lower back, make sure that whatever you do rounding your back forward is soft and kind. Or I would even, if you have especially herniated discs in the back, leave your spine kind of aligned with your pelvis, okay? And we're all a little different, so everybody's bones are shaped differently. You may rotate more or less. I'm gonna see if I can get myself down here to the floor, lengthen out. Take deep breaths. Put my hands back on my thighs, lengthen out, come all the way back up as one big unit. Ooh. Give everything a little bit of a jiggle. All right, so the only part we haven't done is our ankles. So you can hold both legs up and turn the feet, or if you want, do one at a time. We're just going to rotate the ankle joints around in one direction and then around in the other direction. And then we're going to point and flex. We're going to do a little balance challenge in just a moment. So we're just prepping the ankles for that little challenge. Oh, and when I flex my foot back, I try to spread my toes out. They don't go very far. I have this dream of one day being able to play piano with my toes, but it's probably not going to happen in this life. It's not really a dream. Simply an imaginary notion. Stretch them out. And really just, I'm envious of people who can move their toes individually. Alrighty, so we're going to stand next to the chair so that we can use it to get started, but we're not going to rely on it if we can help it. So I'm going to lift up onto my tiptoes and then come down around the balls of the foot. So you can start, if you're super wobbly, start with a finger touching the chair, but see if you can let go and come up onto the tops of the toes or onto the balls of the feet with the arms also lifting. So we're just lifting up as high up as we can get and then coming back down. We're going to try to sustain it for a little bit now and then come back down. We're going to go for a count of 10 now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, a little taller, 1, and then come on back down. And then notice, like, if there's any tenderness or anything in your toes. If there is, then you can continue to kind of work with your toes and your feet, create a little bit more movement, either by doing this kind of thing or by doing it off the floor seated. So you can lift up onto the toes and come down from a seated position as well. Now we're going to challenge our balance a little bit. So I'm going to use the chair. I'm going to use the bottom of the chair, but you can use the top. So I'm going to put a hand here, and then the same leg, so my right hand, right leg are going to be my stable places. Left leg is going to come up, and I'm going to see if I can stretch out nice and big into a half moon balance. Again, you can come up a little higher, hold on to the top of your chair, or come down a little lower and hold on to the base or the seat. See if you can lift this leg and hip just a bit, and then we're going to come down. Now that leg might be getting a little tired, so we're just going to switch sides. Put all the weight on this left leg, bring the right foot up into a tree pose, and find a little tree that works for you. Might be mostly off your screen, but hopefully you can still see. Good, come on down. We'll give everything a little shake before we do the other side. Balance practice is really good to do every day because it helps our body remember how to be off center, right? So it's easier for us to recover. So we're not really trying to hold the balance really still as much as we're trying to practice being wobbly and catching ourselves. So we're going to do the other side. So left leg, left hand are going to be the balance point. I'm going to lift up nice and tall. Trying to lift up through the hip. And maybe I don't even need my hand. Probably I did. See, so wobble and catch is more of the business we're in. Take one more breath. Good, come all the way down. So again, we're gonna shift all the weight back over to the right leg, bring the left leg into a tree, and then, so you might have to use the chair to hold on to start, but see if you can let go and balance. If you lose your balance, you just put your foot down to catch. It's important work to do, especially as we get older. You might try to make yourself intentionally wobbly so that you can remind your body how to catch. One more breath, and then we'll come on back down. Ooh, give everything a little shimmy. We're gonna do a downward facing dog on the chair. So I use the seat of the chair again. You can turn your chair and use the back if that's a better height for you. I'm not particularly tall, so the seat works good. So I put my hands about shoulder distance apart, back of the hips up so that I can kind of pull backward a bit. And then I secure my shoulder blades onto my back just a little bit. Just pull them in so my neck feels a little longer. So we're doing two things. The shoulder blades kind of secure just a little bit around to the upper back, and then we pull the hips backwards. Ooh, it feels so nice. Nice deep breaths, two more. I'm just going to bring myself back to the center. We're going to do one more thing while we're here. So I'm bending at my hip, hands on the chair. I'm going to take the right hand off and the left leg, stretch back into a spinal balance. Try to hug in through the sides of your waist. Good. One more breath there. Bring those two down. Take the opposite two up. So opposite leg and arm. Hug in through the sides of the waist. Stretch out there. One more breath. Beautiful. Come on back down. And then we're going to bring our chair back around and have a seat. Because our time together is nearly up. We're just going to take a moment to come back to a breath awareness. So find a place where you rest in your chair comfortably. Let the shoulders relax. You might even take a deep breath in, sigh a couple times. Stretch your face out as big as you can. Stick your tongue out, open your eyes really big. Squeeze the face in like you just tasted the most sour lemon you've ever tasted. Oh. Big face. Sour face. One more time, big face. Sour. Oh. And then relax every muscle in your face. Let the eyebrows kind of drift apart. Let the cheeks get really soft and the lips soft. Let your jaw just stay a little bit apart so the teeth don't touch. And then come back to an awareness of your breath, and then we're going to pay particular attention to the inhale dropping down. So notice how the inhale feels like it comes down through the body to touch the kind of lower abdominal area. And then the exhale kind of leaves almost like it feels like it just lifts right up. Keep the lips nice and soft and relaxed. And just notice the breath. We're going to do that for 3 more rounds. Hopefully you feel a little bit more centered, ready to go about your day. Thank you for joining me for some chair yoga, express chair yoga. Take a nice big breath together. Let go with a big sigh. And welcome to the rest of your day. Namaste.